Good morning, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. So, the rest of this week, I thought what I might do is look at the temptations of Jesus. Because if we've learned anything in this life, it's that every day has its temptations. And so, I think this might be a useful thing for us to do. I would start by saying that the temptations are referenced by Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but only Matthew and Luke really give the details behind the temptations. Mark just simply says Jesus went out in the wilderness, was tempted by the devil, and ministered to by the Holy Spirit and angels. And so I want to look at these in the way Matthew and Luke explain the temptations, especially today. But before I get into much detail, let me tell you a song that made a real impression on me as a young man. It's a song by Keith Green. Keith was a Christian artist who's no longer alive. He died in an airplane crash, 40 years ago almost. But was a remarkable, I would dare say, prophet in the way he sang of God and God's message. And one of his songs was about Satan himself, about the devil. And the thrust of the song was one that I'll always remember, I think. It was the devil singing that his job is getting easier as day slips into day. He can imitate the brightest light and make the night look just like day. He puts some truth in every lie to tickle itching ears. He says, I'm drawing people just like flies because they like what they hear. I'm gaining by the power, by the hour. They're falling by the score. And here was the key. It's getting very easy now since no one believes in me anymore. And I really was challenged by that thought that so many people don't want to believe that there's an evil being, a spiritual war, that Satan is real. And that may be the best lie he's ever told. Because if we don't believe him, we're not looking out for him. He says, in fact, Keith Green has in the line, I used to have to sneak around, but now I just walk in the door. It's getting very easy now since no one believes in me anymore. Well, Satan is real, and the temptations of Jesus are very informative to us on multiple levels, even beyond that. So let's get the background and let's understand how this starts out, because this is important to understanding why both Luke and Matthew keep the first temptation the same. Jesus goes out into the wilderness. The wilderness was always associated with temptation. It's where the Israelites for 40 years had to wander because they succumbed to temptation. The wilderness was not a civilized place. It was a wild and crazy badlands where demons haunted and chaos reigned supreme. Jesus goes into the temptation to be, or goes into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan. And Jesus fasts for 40 days. This is an incredible thing. It's debilitating. It's beyond challenging. Mark makes it clear that Jesus was ministered to by angels, that there appears to be something divine in the way Jesus was able to do this fast, at least physically, that it didn't kill him or something. But beyond that, after 40 days of fasting, Satan comes up with the first temptation. And the first temptation is not Satan drawing attention to himself. It's not Satan coming out in a red devil suit like for Halloween with a pitchfork and a trident and a forked tail. It's Satan appearing as a friend. I mean, the first temptation is Satan basically not saying to Jesus a confrontation, but rather saying, hey, I know you've been fasting for 40 days, amazing work, great job. You got to be hungry. We've got some things to talk about. Hey, if you're the Son of God, why don't you go ahead and turn these rocks into bread, get yourself some food, and let's get on about business. And there's nothing that could be more apparently friendly than offering a starving man bread. But Jesus replies, and he quotes Deuteronomy 8 that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from God. Jesus saw through the temptation. That the temptation was pretty clear. It was, hey, do things in a way that's best for you, without regard to what God says. And Jesus says in reply, there's nothing that's best for me that is apart from what God says. God says what's best. It's not simply about what you eat. That's a good way to start these video thoughts on the temptations. That I want to look at these temptations and have undergirding all of them this recognition that it's not about me and it's not about what I want. It's about God and what he says. Because the fundamental thing in my life that I need is obedience, because obedience reflects a trust in the loving God who tells us what is best. Think about that today as you beat your temptations, and join me again tomorrow and let's look at a second temptation. That's your video thought for the day.